We talked a little bit about your house that we did with you, and I want to expand more on that here in a minute, but
Okay.
I want to talk about Parkview. Parkview was a fun project we got to do.
Very fun.
And they came to me and said, we're looking for a designer who can do bohemian.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know what bohemian is. And the first person I called was Allana. I'm like, Allana, if anybody can pull this off, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you interviewed and our clients just fell in love with you. Tell me a little bit about the journey with Joe and Peril and how that went, and the amazing outcome of the home that they have now that is just, I don't know if it's bohemian, but it's definitely their home and it fits them well.
Right,
So.
right. Well, I remember this very well because I was quite excited when you told me that's, the style that she wanted. And just because I like I said, I don't like to do boring things anyway, and I do like to be a little bit eclectic. So I was immediately drawn to that. But I think more importantly, for me, it's really important that obviously the clients need to like me, but the relationship's really important to me. It's mutual. It has to go, both ways because we're going to be working together for quite some time, especially like in the case with Peril and Joe, where, it was a scrape and build new home. It's going to be, we're going to be in each other's lives and, it's going to be an intimate relationship of sorts because I'm getting to know them personally. And I want to make sure that I'm giving them everything they want and then some. So I remember, yes, we had the interview and I just was immediately drawn to their story and their travels and where they were from, and then hearing about some of the artwork that they had and the collections they had. I just felt like it ended up being a really great fit. And I think that I was able to kind of bring some structure and organization into the situation, so that we could get decisions made and done. Because, Peril's pretty artsy, and she has a really great, personal aesthetic. And you definitely couldn't put her or Joe in a box, So I wanted their house to read like that too. And so it was a similar process to what I talked about, what I do. We started with once after we had multiple conversations about what they were looking for, what was important to them to have in the home, what was important for their boys, because they were still in the home and going. I mean, it's been a couple of years now, right?
One's going off to college.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, but then they're also animal lovers, and I have dogs as I get that. So, that's important as well. So all of these considerations were a part of decision making. And so, so we kind of went down that path I told you about, where I get the digital visual design boards together, and Peril was an exception in the sense that we did go to a few showrooms and look at things, and but she wasn't overwhelmed, which was helpful. We didn't do that with everything. There were a lot of textiles and things that I brought to her and choices, to make to her. But in general, we followed that path. And I really wanted to, again, explain to them process so they understood that this is what's going to happen now. And then we're going to, do this. That was a project too, I think, because it was a scrape and build, where I always think some of the things that often get overlooked can be electrical decisions and lighting decisions. I'm huge, as you know, on lighting. I think it's so important to a home, and that there's multiple levels of light color temperature has some consistency throughout so that you don't have like fluorescent bulbs in one room and, all of these little things, dimmers on the switches. So when you're starting from scratch like that, you can incorporate some of those things. And then window treatments, of course, those often get overlooked as well. And nowadays you can do a lot of automation with those type of things. And then when you do a home that's a little bit more contemporary, it's just a really not only just a great look, but ease of use long term for aging in the home. It's just great to have that and flexibility. So
I think some of the highlights of that project, is the individual touches that you kind of gave each person in the family within the house, right? Like one of the son's rooms. I mean, you got some idea and individualized his room for him, right? And the other son, and the amazing basement rec area, that just had some not normal, not builder standard, just great little touches.
Right.
And then you go upstairs and you're like, this fireplace. I mean, that was the tile on those fireplaces and how that fireplace wall came out was just, it's one of my favorite fireplace walls.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, I picked up on the bohemian touches of the basket lights, that are offset in the corner. And it's not all like, symmetrical and in line. And, it just gives a warmth and a comfort and a creativity. And, then you go into the dining room and you got this wallpaper, the wallpaper. I mean, I'm just like, wow. I mean, it's a statement, it's something you're like, whoa, okay, let's really pop this house, and then helping them decorate that. And then the staircases going up and how you worked with us on, okay, what's the right aesthetic to finish the staircase out? And then the yoga studio that was very specific, to creating an environment for Peril to do her practice, which was cool.
And that was a place where from kind of using sustainability practices, if you will, we did the cork floor in the yoga studio, which, is a great material from a sustainability standpoint, but also from a functional standpoint for doing yoga because it has just a little bit of give into the floor. And just the colors that we used, making sure that they read specific to the room and the person that was going to be utilizing that room the most. And wallpaper is wonderful. I am a huge fan.
It's coming back. It's back. It's here to stay.
It's so much more extensive than like, for example, the traditional Southern home, because I've been in some of them where every single wall is wallpapered, or, when the 80s and 90s, when you had just the borders and, that type of thing. It's very different, and you don't have to use it in abundance, but you can use it in just little pops and places. And it isn't just about color and print. There's texture that it can bring into a room. It's just very versatile, and I personally love it, and I use it when and where I can, obviously without going crazy. So.
Well, and during the process, when we were working on the stone, getting all the actual samples together,
yes,
we'd put them in different lights, and you would be like, "Oh, there's pink in that." I'm like, "Huh? I don't see any pink. I'm a little color deficient," but you really have an eye for making sure that the desired outcome is going to be the outcome, because things can look differently than on the plans or in a photo. And so really bringing that through before you make the right commitment, I have total trust in you that it's going to work. That's what I saw come out of that process.
Well, thank you. It was such a fun project for me. And I was able to use color without, again, in moderation, but in fun little areas. And then one thing I also like to do is, not to say that I don't ever do white or off-white trim, but I think trim is a fun way to play with color. And as you saw in my own home, I did a black. And again, as a designer, I know people don't always see this, but all black is not black and all white is not white. It's not all the same. But I've done multiple projects where the trim has not been white or, is a little more unexpected. And again, it's because I do that picture thinking process. And I think about people. And I know this might sound strange, but sometimes people give me colors when I meet them. And I come
Allana,
up with
the psychic designer.
I might go with that. Maybe I need a website revamp. But I sometimes draw the color palettes after those, initial interviews, if you will, that I have with clients, and I get to know them. It kind of forms my color palette for the project and for the digital visual design boards and what direction I'm going to go. And in fact, I already have a potential client that I've already, based on travels they've done and things they've done, like it's already in my mind that when that moves forward and what I'd like to do.
That's fun.
So that's just how I do it. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like I said, that NPR interview really, gave me a way to understand, how it is that my process and how I think.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
yeah, because I think the Parkview project was so much fun. I mean, it was just how it all came together, and then you were able to also support them on the finish out too, which was another skill that interior designers have, and help with furniture selection and help with artwork placement and how things are going to fit together. So I think you helped bring all that vision together for them, and I know they love their house. It's so awesome. So
well, again, that's what makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
All of it, any of the bumps along the way, any of that, it makes it all worth it in the end when the clients it's everything they wanted and then some. And that's when I feel like, okay, I've done my job, we've done our job, because I never ever think it's not just me. It's a collaborative effort on any home. And it's multiple skills coming together and, bringing that vision to life, essentially. Yeah. So, but that was a really fun project. And actually I've gotten other projects because of that project, because of people who even drove by. And, so it was a wonderful opportunity and I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed working with you guys. So I always enjoy working with you guys.
Let's talk about your house.
Okay.
So, because I think you discussed your black trim, right? And then the black doors and then your wallpaper came in, right? And I'm just like, wow, this is really coming together, right? And then I think one of my highlights in your house is your office music room with the fireplace upstairs.
Oh, that's Marcia's. My
husband's.
That's
Marcia's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorite rooms.
Yeah, mine's the blue room downstairs, but that's special to me because it's mine. But yes, I mean that room has phenomenal views, obviously. But that
just the aesthetic in there and the feel that room gives is just like wow, like you hit something special with that room. So that was fun.
Well, that was fun in the sense that it was a bit challenging. I enjoy the challenges. It's a narrow room, and we wanted to make it into an office. And we actually took a console table, and I had that. I did a retrofit on that table. Well, I designed it and then got it to the appropriate people. I believe Brian Martella did the steel legs on that and did the retrofit for me. But we essentially took what was a console table. I had it restained. I had additional steel brought onto the legs and had that kind of reworked so it could be higher and that it could also support a stand-up desk type situation. So that was a retrofit, and it worked perfectly because it was just narrow enough to not overwhelm the room. And I enjoy those challenges because sometimes you'll have a room and you think, gosh, I can't fit, this sofa in here, or I can't fit, So I like those kind of challenges because I think there's something
special you can do with any space.
There's
right?
something, yeah.
Oh, it was cool.
So,
and then you go down to your basement recording wall, or what did Marsh put on the walls?
Yeah. So he wanted to take so during our time in Austin, we were fortunate enough to become members of the Austin City Limits, where at the Moody Theater, where they go and do the recordings that you see on PBS. So we've been fortunate to see a lot of our favorite artists perform. And when we went to the shows, my husband Marsh would always like to purchase a poster. And he had collected them and wanted to really showcase them. But of course, I didn't want our basement to look like a dorm room because of our age.
That's what would happen.
So I had the idea of, it was a collaborative effort. My idea was he really wanted to utilize those in the new home, and kind of our lower level is definitely the fun level. Our bar's down there, and we've since added we have a bocce court and the swim spa. So that's kind of like the fun stuff is all down there, and when you walk out. But I wanted to kind of elevate it a bit. So we ended up taking the posters to a custom framer in Austin, who also, he had music prints. He was also a huge music aficionado. And actually, if I recall, he might have been a drummer in, of course, I can't remember the band, but he had a fascinating history. Anyway, so we trusted him to take and frame, and we just made all of the mats, the frames black and the mats white because the posters had a lot of different colors. So I wanted them to have some uniformity of design. And then actually, Marsh kind of told me he wanted a wall of it. So I just went into CAD and took them, and we played around with how they would be laid out. And we also had a triptych that we purchased from the same guy in his shop of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
And so that got incorporated in it as well. And so he still has room for one more poster, one more show. We just haven't gone to that
Figured
show
out
yet.
what
Apparently,
it's gonna be.
yeah, we don't. But
Fun.
So that was the place to do some fun things. And actually, I have since added a wallpaper, because again, I love the wallpaper at the bar wall down there.
Oh,
that's kind of fun.
I have to see. So now you got wallpaper on every floor.
Yep, exactly. I do. It's true.
So no, I mean your project. It's amazing what you've done there, and I know you've helped us on some other remodel and first floor overhauls, and our clients are very happy with your work. So we really appreciate working with you and what you're able to do. So.
Well, thank you, and I love working with you guys.
Yeah.
I hope to do it for many years to come.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Built by Insights. Tune in next Friday to hear a third and final episode.